Welcome to our continuing YouTube video series on employment law. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal, and in this particular video we'll be discussing bonuses in the context of oil and gas employees who have been fired. So when you've been fired, what happens is that your employer no longer desires to engage your services, whether it's because of a permanent layoff, a termination, a dismissal, there's insufficient work, whatever the case may be. Now, what is happening there is that they don't look to continue your services. So what is their rationale associated with bonuses? Bonuses, although they are paid for the benefit of having undertaken previously work, they are in large part seen as an incentive by the employer to continue to push their employees forward. Hence, when an individual is terminated, dismissed, fired, or otherwise let go from their job, the bonus is pushed back. Every possible angle is often seen with respect to not including any appropriate or illegal application of bonus payments into one's pay for that terminated employee. There's many different angles that are used, whether knowingly or unknowingly by the employer. But the thing is, what we have to remember is that employers want to pay the least amount, they want to pay the legally amount, and they simply go and they look at the paperwork and say, what can I get away with respect to paying that employee? So where you have a bonus that is typical in the cycle of your employment. So you've been working for 5 years, 10 years, and there's a consistent bonus, or even if there are somewhat inconsistent bonuses, but there is a bonus arrangement in your employment scheme. Typically, there's a lot of aspects of that bonus that should be included in your pay when you're fired that are not. Now, some employers are getting wind of this and actually trying to apply stuff correctly, and even then they make mistakes. But oftentimes, what is sought is to go with the simplest solution, and the simplest solution is to pay their former employee the least amount that they are legally required, or at least what they think is legally required. And so they go with these schemes and these payments that are not necessarily correct. And when they aren't correct, they aren't legal. But it becomes a matter of challenging the employer and knowing what to challenge them with respect to, especially when it comes to bonus arrangements and the failure to properly include those bonus payments in one's employment payments, because they come in many different ways. And until you actually dig deep, break down the whole pay structure, whole pay arrangement that is being provided to the outgoing employee when they get their final payments, can it be possible to identify whether or not it's being properly incorporated into their payout? And that's probably why a lot of employers out there are not properly accounting for bonus payments, because they don't properly understand it, because every one of these employers tries to use their own systems, oftentimes convoluted systems, different arrangements that make it not so easy to identify and understand what payments are due to their outgoing employees, namely yourself. And by failing to properly understand the whole concept and all the legal obligations tied to it, it becomes all too often clear that they are failing to make those requisite payments. And they're doing stuff that is unfortunately improper. And as we said, sometimes they know this, but oftentimes they don't know this, and they've instituted improper systems. But why should it be you that gets the brunt of these improper systems, these improper methodologies? Finding yourself out there being hurt financially, your family hurt financially because they have failed to institute the proper arrangements. And part of the challenge is that nobody takes the employers to task while they're employed, because it's then the changes we made, you'd be on the first on the chopping block and gone. So the only time you really address this is when you get let go. And then most people are looking at it from the big picture view. They don't scrutinize enough. And even sometimes the lawyers don't scrutinize enough. And that means stuff is not properly addressed. And that means you're exiting and you're leaving money on the table that is properly your money in many circumstances. So what do? Well, you have to engage with lawyers who are knowledgeable about this subject matter. And what we do is we provide a free initial assessment that is provided to individuals working the oil and gas sector who have been terminated, fired, laid off from their job, and now find themselves with the need to understand, are they being properly paid out? And especially in more difficult times, it becomes ever more important to scrutinize this, because you don't know how long you'll be out of a job and how long you'll be relying upon the money that your last employer provided you. So if you're losing out on 20, 30, 40% of the money that is due to yourself, when all factors are included, sometimes even more than that, does it not make sense to get it scrutinized, especially when you can get the initial assessment done from ourselves at no cost? And we'll tell you what we believe to be strategies, we believe to be areas where you can potentially pursue, and then you make the determination. We can give you some insights, but it ultimately comes up to yourself. So whether it's the first or the second opinion that you're looking at, you should consider talking to knowledgeable legal counsel about where you stand, especially where a large component of your pay package was a bonus payment. That is where you really need to reflect, because there are too many ways that through bonus payments being miscalculated, misappropriated, mischaracterized in the whole scope of your employment pay, you could very well possibly have lost a significant amount of money, and only through knowledgeable legal insight and direction can you potentially recover that money that is duly owed to yourself. So that's what you should be considering, and that is why it is important to scrutinize this stuff, to assess it and determine if your circumstances are such that there might be a viable option available to yourself that allows you and your family to more practically benefit financially, especially where it's money that is owed to yourself. So I hope you found this YouTube video of importance and consequence. And should you wish to contact us, our contact information is contained in the description of this YouTube video and at our website. Thank you.